Many, many times, it almost didn't happen.
Wow.
Yeah, there were a lot of internal political battles to actually get this thing out, to see the light of day. And a lot of what I write about in the book is how do we actually get these prosecutors, whether they're elected or appointed, to have the courage and the assertiveness to get in there and actually bring a case, which is separate from the merits. Let's assume there are merits. If there are not merits, the case should not be brought. But this case was very meritorious, but it was held up for about a year. And a lot of these other cases that we've seen, DOJ and the FBI held up the January 6th investigation of Trump and his inner circle. They did not really dig into that investigation for a whole year until I think the January 6th committee forced their hand. We saw it with Alvin Bragg, where basically the Trump case was put on hold for a year. He kiboshed it, then he brought it back. Public pressure is a big part of how you make these cases go.
But that is something that Jack Smith has shied away from. So what do you think about his tactic relative to that?
Well, I think the key there is that DOJ is going to be very sensitive to this because it's the Biden administration. You're not going to see anything look like they're trying to politicize this case. And they shouldn't, because it would be improper and it could backfire on them with the election and everything else. I do think that Jack Smith, and this is one that gets into some of the other rules in the book, I think they need to really push out there in the media while these trials are going on. Don't make it political, but just share with people the facts, shine a light on things that happen in the courtroom. The D.C. J6 case, we're not going to have cameras in the courtroom. We're going to have print reporters do their best to relay to all of us what was going on inside that courtroom. I think it's, and then Donald Trump's going to be out there on the courthouse steps with his lawyers,
with his
lying, lying the whole time and twisting everything. We need to make sure that DOJ is out there. It may not be Smith, but there have to be people out there that have media savvy that are going to be able to factually and clearly explain to everybody what was going on in that courtroom.
Kind of like what we saw Tish James doing.
I think they did a great job with that. I think DOJ needs to do the same thing.
Let me ask you about the book, though. You have 12 rules that you say, this is how you go about doing it when you take down Donald Trump. Are any of the cases out there right now following your playbook?
I'd say pretty much most of them are. I do think that there are some things like what I want to see from DOJ. Not that it's up to me, but it'd be great to see from DOJ that they actually really tell a story, not just to the jury that they're going to be facing, but also to the media and to the public. They did do a good job of that in the indictment. I think the indictment was very clear. You didn't need to be a lawyer to understand what was going on with it, but we need to see them make that case to the people, because we're not going to be able to see what's going on in the courtroom. But what we've seen with these cases is the dogged determination to get to the bottom of these things has been happening, and that's why these cases are being successful.
And is that what was your assessment of the prosecution when it came to the E. Jean Carroll case?
I thought that civil case, they did a great job.